August, Osage County. August, Osage County is a tragicomedy play by Tracy Letts. It was the recipient of the 2008 Pulitzer Prize for drama. The play premiered at the Steppenwolf Theatre in Chicago on June 28, 2007 and closed on August 26, 2007. It had its Broadway debut at the Imperial Theater on December 4, 2007 and the production transferred to the Music Box Theatre on April 29, 2008. The Broadway show closed on June 28, 2009 after 648 performances and 18 previews. The show made its UK debut at London's National Theatre in November 2008. A US national tour began on July 24, 2009 with its first performance at Denver's Buell Theatre. In 2013, it was adapted and brought to stage by Taiwanese Greenray Theatre. The story and characters remained unchanged, except the plot took place in a Taiwanese family. Plot: the action takes place over the course of several weeks in August inside the three-story home of Beverly and Violet Weston outside Pulitzer, Oklahoma. Prologue: the play opens with Beverly Weston, a once famous poet, interviewing Jonna, a young Cheyenne woman, for a position as live-in cook and caregiver for his wife Violet, who is being treated for mouth cancer due to heavy cigarette use for most of her life. Violet is a heavy drinker addicted to several different kinds of prescription drugs and exhibits paranoia and mood swings. Beverly, who freely admits that he is an alcoholic, lightly converses about Violet's current problems, most of which Beverly concedes are the result of personal demons too powerful to be cured by drugs. Violet enters the scene clearly affected by her drugs. After an incoherent and combative argument with Beverly, Violet returns upstairs. Beverly hires Jonna, lends her a book of T.S. Eliot's poetry, and continues to drink. Act 1. Several weeks later. Beverly Weston has not been seen for 5 days. Several family members have gathered in the house to provide support for Violet, including her daughter Ivy, her sister Mattie Fee, and Mattie Fee's husband Charlie. When Violet is not making calls attempting to track down her husband or popping pills, she spends the time snouting at her family, particularly Ivy, whom she criticizes for her mode of dress and lack of a romantic life. The news comes that Beverly's boat is missing, furthering the fear that he has committed suicide. Ivy's older sister Barbara arrives from Boulder, Colorado, with her husband Bill and 14-year-old daughter Jean. Barbara has not visited her mother in several years and has mixed feelings about returning to the house because of the confrontational nature of their relationship. They fall into an argument almost immediately, during which Violet accuses her of abandoning her family and breaking her father's heart. Later in the evening, Jean bonds with Jonna after the older woman allows her to smoke some marijuana in her room. She confides to Jonna that her parents are separated and are attempting to hide the fact from the family. Bill and Barbara argue over the cause of this separation as they make a bed out of a fold-out sofa in the living room. Bill is sleeping with a much younger woman, one of his students at the university where he teaches. At 5 a.m., the local sheriff, Dion Gilbert, Barbara's high school boyfriend, rings the doorbell and breaks the news that Beverly has been found drowned. Barbara goes to identify the body as Violet comes downstairs in a drug-addled fog. The act ends with her spiraling into confusion. Act 2. Several days later. The family has come from Beverly's funeral. Violet spends a quiet moment alone in Beverly's office, bitterly reproaching him for leaving her, and takes some more pills. Before the memorial dinner prepared for the family by Jonna, several family arguments and scenes arise. Ivy and Barbara's sister Karen has flown in from Florida with her new fiancé and can talk about nothing except her wedding plans, distressing Barbara. During an argument with her mother and Mattie Fee, Ivy unwittingly confesses that she is seeing someone romantically but refuses to say who. Mattie Fee and Charlie's son little Charles has overslept and missed the funeral. His father is sympathetic but Mattie Fee is, as usual, rude and critical of her son. Karen's fiancé Steve discovers that Jean is a pot smoker and offers to share his stash with her, lewdly flirting with a teenage girl. In a private moment, it is revealed that Ivy's lover is actually little Charles, her first cousin. Dinner is served, and Violet begins insulting and needling all of her family members. After inappropriately discussing Beverly's will at the table, she cruelly exposes Barbara and Bill's separation. When Barbara starts to fight back, Violet tauntingly reveals the full extent of her addiction, and the tensions develop into a violent confrontation, culminating in Barbara physically attacking her mother. After family members separate them, Barbara takes control of the situation, ordering that the family raid the house to discover all of Violet's hiding places for her pills. At 3 several hours later things have calmed down, but the pain of the dinner confrontation has not gone away. Barbara reports that Violet's doctor thinks she has brain damage, and the 3 sisters share a drink in their father's study, discussing their mother. Ivy reveals that she and little Charles are planning to run away to New York and refuses to acknowledge the need for someone to take care of Violet. She reveals that it was Violet, not Beverly, who was heartbroken when Barbara left Oklahoma. Violet enters, now more coherent and off her drugs but no less incorrigible, is resigned to dealing with her demise on her own terms. She discusses a depressing story from her childhood with her daughters. In a private moment, Barbara and Violet apologize to each other, but it is uncertain how long the peace will last. Matty Fee observes a tender moment between little Charles and Ivy, and begins taunting him again when the ever-patient Charlie finally loses his temper with his wife, berating her for her cruelty to her own son and promising her that unless she can find a way to be kind to little Charles, he is going to leave her. The lecture is accidentally overheard by Barbara, who confirms, when pressed, that little Charles and Ivy are lovers. She is shocked when Matty Fee reveals that little Charles is not just Ivy's first cousin, but also her half-brother, the result of a long-ago affair between Matty Fee and Beverly. Matty Fee refuses to tell Ivy or little Charles the truth, leaving it up to Barbara, who knows that the news will destroy Ivy, to find her way to end the incestuous affair. Later that night, Steve and Jean share a joint, and before long, Steve attempts to molest Jean. Shauna walks in on the scene and attacks Steve with a shovel. The noise brings Jean's parents and Karen to the scene. An ugly argument follows when Jean defensively lashes out at her parents with hurtful comments about her father's affair, and Barbara slaps her. Karen leaves with Steve, choosing to lie to herself and mistakenly blaming Jean for what happened. Bill elects to return to Buell with Jean and admits, when Barbara confronts him, that he is not going to come back to her. He leaves as Barbara tells him she loves him. 2 weeks pass. Barbara, now drinking heavily, offers John a chance to quit and leave the toxic environment of the Weston house, but she chooses to stay. Sheriff Gilbo drops by the house with the news that Beverly had stayed at a motel shortly before he committed suicide. He and Barbara nearly share a tender moment, but she is too emotionally exhausted and drunk to consummate it. Several days later, Ivy has dinner with Barbara and Violet. Ivy attempts to tell her mother, over Barbara's objections, of her plans with little Charles, but Violet suddenly confesses that she already knows that little Charles is Beverly's son. Ivy recalls in shock and horror, rebuffing Barbara's attempts to comfort her, and says that she will never tell him, and leaves for New York anyway. Before she goes, Ivy angrily accuses Barbara of turning into Violet, stunning Barbara. Violet calmly reveals that she has deliberately destroyed Ivy and Charles' affair, which she knew of the entire time. Barbara and her mother have one last angry confrontation during which Violet blames Barbara for her father's suicide. Violet also reveals his suicide might have been preventable since she knew which motel he stayed in the night he left the house, but did nothing to help him until after she removed money from the couple's joint safe deposit box. Barbara, realizing that her mother has slipped beyond her help, leaves the house. Violet breaks down and is left only with Jonna, who ends the play with a quotation from a T.S. Eliot poem. This is the way the world ends. This is the way the world ends. Characters. Beverly Weston, the father of the Weston family, aged 69, an alcoholic and washed-up poet. His mysterious disappearance one evening and eventually discovered death are the reasons for the family's reunion. The reasons for his implied suicide are a major plot point that brings some of the family's dark past painfully back into the light. Violet Weston, the mother of the Weston family, aged 65. Undergoing treatment for oral cancer, she is addicted to several prescription drugs, mostly depressants and narcotics. After an ugly rant at Beverly's funeral dinner, the family's focus shifts to keeping her clean. Despite her drug-induced episodes, she is sharp-tongued and shrewd. She is aware of the family's many secrets and not hesitant to reveal them for her own benefit. Barbara Fordham, the oldest daughter of the Weston family, age 46. Mother of Jean and wife of Bill, though they are currently separated. She is a college professor in Boulder, Colorado. She wants to save her marriage, but has the intense need to control everything around her as it falls apart. Ivy Weston, the middle daughter of the Weston family, age 44. The only daughter to stay in Oklahoma, she works as a librarian at the local college, and her calm, impatient exterior hides a passionate woman who is gradually growing cynical. She is secretly having an affair with her cousin, little Charles, and plans to move to New York with him. Karen Weston, the youngest daughter in the Weston family, age 40. She is newly engaged to Steve, whom she considers the perfect man, and lives with him in Florida, planning to marry him soon. Karen can talk of little else but her own happiness even at her father's funeral, and she clearly chooses to lie to herself about her sleazy fiancé rather than face the reality of not getting a happy ending. Buell Fordham, Barbara's estranged husband and Jean's father, age 49, a college professor. He has left his wife for a younger woman named Cindy, one of his students, but wants to be there for his family. His marriage is disintegrating and his patience is slowly running thin. Jean Fordham Bell and Barbara's smart 14-year-old daughter. She smokes pot and cigarettes, is a vegetarian, loves old movies, and is bitter about her parents' split. She has a sexual encounter with her future uncle Steve and reacts violently to John coming to her rescue. Steve Heidebrecht, Karen's fiancé, age 50, a businessman in Florida whose business, it is hinted, centers in the Middle East and may be less than legitimate, and not the perfect man that Karen considers him. He is inappropriately sexual with Jean throughout the play, supplies her with marijuana, and sexually assaults her. Mattie Fee Aiken, Violet's sister, Charlie's wife and little Charles' mother, age 57. Just as jaded as her sister, Mattie Fee constantly belittles her son and antagonizes her husband. Eventually she reveals the major plot point that Beverly, not Charlie, is the real father of little Charles. Charlie Aiken, husband of Mattie Fee and the presumed father of little Charles, age 60. Charlie, a genial man, was a lifelong friend of Beverly. He struggles to get Mattie Fee to respect little Charles. Little Charles Aiken, son of Mattie Fee and Beverly, 37 years old, but, like everyone else, he believes Charlie is his father. He is unemployed and clumsy, and his mother calls him a screw-up, which may be a self-fulfilling prophecy. He is secretly having an affair with Ivy, who is revealed to actually be his half-sister. Joanna Potter, a Cheyenne Indian woman, age 26, whom Beverly hires as a live-in housekeeper shortly before he disappears. Violet is prejudiced against her, but she wins over the other family members with her cooking skills, hard work, and empathy. Joanna is a silent witness to much of the mayhem in the house. Sheriff Dion Gilbo, a high school classmate and former boyfriend of Barbara's, age 47, who brings the news of Beverly's suicide to the family. Productions. The show was originally produced on August 12, 2007 by the Steppenwolf Theatre company at the Downstairs Theatre in Chicago. The Broadway production began previews on October 30, 2007 at the Imperial Theater only days before the 2007 Broadway stagehand strike on November 10, which temporarily closed most shows. The strike continued through the official opening date of November 20, forcing the show to reschedule its December 4 opening. The Broadway production closed on June 28, 2009 after 648 performances and 18 previews. The Broadway debut used much of cast from Steppenwolf in Chicago and opened to receive wide acclaim. The production, originally slated to close on February 17, 2008, was extended for 3 weeks to March 9 after the strike, and later extended to April 13, 2008, where it was subsequently given an open-ended commercial run. Both the Steppenwolf and Broadway productions were directed by Anna D. Shapiro, featuring scenic design by Todd Rosenthal, costume design by Anna Kosmanek, lighting design by Ann G. Ryson, sound design by Richard Woodbury, original music by David Singer, dramaturgy by Edward Sobel, dialect coaching by Cecil O'Reilly, and fight choreography by Charles Coyle. Both productions were stage managed by Deb Steyer, with Jane Grey joining the New York company. August. Osage County made its UK debut at London's National Theatre in November 2008. Additionally, a US national tour was launched at Denver's Ellie Calkins Opera House on July 24, 2009, with Estelle Parsons portraying the role as Violet. This production went on to tour throughout the country. The play made its Israeli debut at Tabima Theatre in Tel Aviv in January 2009, starring Gila Almager. The play made its Puerto Rican debut at the René Marquez Theatre Hall of the Louis Affair Performing Arts Centre in San Juan in March 2009, starring Gladys Rodriguez. The Melbourne Theatre Company mounted a production in Australia at the Arts Centre Playhouse starring Robin Nevin from 23 May to June 27, 2009. The new theatre opened its production in Newton, NSW on June 8, 2018, with Louise Fisher directing and with Alice Livingston as Violet. The large cast engages the audience for 3 hours and 10 minutes with 2 intervals. The tri-level house was successfully created with staircases mezzanines by Esther Roseberg, Tom Bannerman and Roger Wishart. Emilia Stubbs Gregorio is Joanna, who has reverted to her Cheyenne name and is given a few seconds of attention to explain the significance of the turtle pouch she wears around her neck. The play had its German premiere in Mannheim at the National Theatre on October 31, 2008, under the title Ein Familie, a Family, directed by Burkhard Celsus. Kosminski. The Austrian premiere in Vienna, in the Academy Theatre from October 31, 2009 onwards was staged by the Latvian director Alvis Hermanis and featured Konstantin in the role of Violet Weston. The play has been translated into Spanish and premiered in Buenos Aires at the Teatro Little Members, starring Norma Linder and Mercedes Moron. It ran there for more than a year, with frequent sold-out houses. The play made its Swedish debut at Gothenburg City Theatre. Opening night on January 29, 2010, starring Anne Petrén, and its Danish at the Betty Nansen Theatre in Copenhagen. It was due to premiere in Montevideo by mid-March 2010 at the Teatro El Galpón. August premiered on April 29, 2010, in Lima, at the Teatro La Paz Isle, starring Claudia Dalmert. The Catalan play premiered on November 25, 2010, in the Catalan National Theatre Teatre Nacional de Catalunya, Barcelona, with great success. It was renewed for another season during 2012. The cast included Alan Lizaran as Violet and Emma Villareso as Barbara. The Steppenwolf Theatre Company opened the production in Sydney in conjunction with the Sydney Theatre Company in August 2010. The amateur debut of the play was made by Hingham High School in Hingham, Massachusetts, on May 4, 2012, and was followed by a production at the Hawken School Hawken Players Society production on November 7-10, 2013. The Auckland Theatre Company staged the New Zealand premiere of the play in September 2010, starring Jennifer Ward-Leland, Stuart Davini and Nancy Brunning, and directed by Colin McCall. The Wellington production opened at Circuit Theatre on April 1, 2011, with Jennifer Ludlum reprising the role of Violet. In April 2014, the play premiered in Romania at the ILC National Theatre. The play had its U.S. regional premiere on September 9, 2010 in Albuquerque, New Mexico with Fusion Theatre Company. According to the company's website, performances for this production completely sold out. The cast included professional and Tony-nominated actors such as Laurie Thomas and Joanne Camp, and was directed by Gil Lazer. The play had its university premiere on September 23, 2010, in a unique co-production undertaken by Wright State University's Department of Theatre, Dance and Motion Pictures and the Human Race Theatre Company of Dayton, Ohio. The production was the first co-production of its kind for this play, combining 7 professional actors with 6 student ANC candidates in WSU BFA acting program, and played to over 4,000 during its 3-week run in the Robert and Elaine Stein Auditorium on the Wright State campus. This production featured Suzanne Morley as Violet Weston, the role she had played in the Broadway production, and Rainbow Dickerson, also from the Broadway production, as well as 6 students from the WSU undergraduate theatre program. The play has its Dutch premiere on May 1, 2011, at the Stadsschouwburg Utrecht City Theatre by Theatre Company de Utrechtse Spelen. It was directed by Antonio de Hagen, starred Tijet Skriedinga, Peter Block, Rie Eimers and Tom de Ket. The Dutch title is Augustus Oklahoma. Other 2011 productions included Florida Repertory Theatre Company of Fort Myers in March, the Oregon Shakespeare Festival in April, National Taiwan University in May, as the 2011 graduation production of the Department of Foreign Languages and Literatures, the Carolina Actors Studio Theatre of Charlotte in August, and this college premiere at Western Illinois University on April 20, 2011. Due to a serious fall during his final week of rehearsal, the director had to step in for the lead and perform the role of Violet Weston. The Spanish version Agosto Condado de Osage of the play opened on December 7, 2011, in Madrid, with an all-star cast including Amparo Barro as Violet, Carmen Mache as Barbara, Alicia Barchero as Ivy, Clara Sanchez as Karen, Sons Benedicto as Matty Fee and Irene Escolar as Jean, among many others, directed by Gerard Avir. The show closed on February 22, 2012, after a huge success. In India, veteran theatre actor and director Lalit Dubey has directed a slightly adapted version of the play and has been touring with it in several Indian cities such as Delhi, Mumbai and Bangalore. In the Indian version, while the name of the play and those of most characters remain the same, the narrative has been shifted to the Indian state of Goa. Many well-known Indian theatre and film actors have major roles in the play, with Dubey herself playing the role of Violet with Sandhya Emerald as Barbara, Ketu Gadwani as Matti, Mita Vashisht as Karen and Sachi Pillai as Ivy. The Polish adaptation of the play, titled Sierpień meaning August, had its premiere in Tito Studio in Warsaw on February 2, 2012. Imperial Theatre in Leiden, the Netherlands, was the first amateur theatre company outside the United States to perform the play, on May 12, 2012. The PACE Performing Arts Curriculum Experience program at Mamaroneck High School opened their 2013 season with August, Osage County on October 23, 2013. The Fox Network's cartoon comedy series American Dad did an over-the-top, metaphor for assumed satirical send-up of the base style, as well as Clifford Odditt's Paradise Lost, called Blood Crieth Unto Heaven. The UMass Theatre Guilds of University of Massachusetts Amherst premiered an entirely student-run production of August, Osage County on April 9, 2015. Original Chicago cast: Ian Balfour, Oscar Sclittle, Charles Deanna Donegan, Violet Weston, Kimberly Guerrero, John Vota, Francis Ginnan, Charlie Aiken, Rick Snyder, Steve Hyde, Britt Dennis, Letts, Beverly Weston, Fawn Johnson, Jean Fordham, Marion Mayberry, Karen Weston, Amy Moulton, Barbara Fordham, Sally Murphy, Skyvy Weston, Jeff Perry, Bill Fordham, Rundy Reed, Matty Fee, Aiken, Troy West, Sheriff Dion Gilbo, Diane Dorsey, U/S, Violet, Matty Fee, Robert East, Dennis and U/S, Beverly, Charlie Patrick Eggleston, U/S, Barbara Laurie Mize, U/S, Ivy, Karen Peter Davis, U/S, Bill performed, Steve, Sheriff Gilbo, Stephen Mozoff, U/S, Little, Charles Sadie Riffi, U/S, John Azani Led, U/S, Jean. Steppenwolf Ensemble members. Original Broadway cast: Ian Barfoot, Little, Shuttles succeeded during the run by Michael Milligan, Deanna Donegan, Violet Weston succeeded during the run by Estelle Parsons and later Felicia Rassett, Kimberly Guerrero, John Vota succeeded during the run by Samantha Ross, Francis Ginnan, Charlie Aiken succeeded during the run by Guy Boyd and Robert Fox, with Brian Cohen, Steve Hyde, Brett Dennis, Letts, Beverly Weston succeeded during the run by Munson Hicks and later John Cullum, and Michael McGuire, Madeline Moth and Jean Fordham succeeded during the run by Molly Ranson, Marion Mayberry, Karen Weston succeeded during the run by Amy Warren, Amy Morton, Barbara Fordham succeeded during the run by Johanna Day, Sally Murphy, Kyvie Weston succeeded during the run by Deepwater, Jeff Berry, Bill Fordham succeeded during the run by Frank Wood, Rondy Reed, Matty Fee Aiken succeeded during the run by Elizabeth Ashley, Troy West, Sheriff Dion Gilbo succeeded during the run by Scott Yeekmanson, Hex U/S Charles, Beverly Susan Molly U/S Violet, Matty Fee J Patterson U/S Steve, Bill, Sheriff D. Pulitzer U/S Barbara, Karen, Ivy Molly Ranson U/S Jean Aaron Zarotsky U/S Little Charles, Sheriff Castida, Val Device U/S Donna. Steppenwolf Ensemble member. Original National Tour cast: Stephen Riley, Key Little, Charles Estelle Parsons, Violet Weston, Delana Studi, John Vota, Paul Vincent O'Connor, Charlie Aiken, Lawrence Steve Heidebrett, John DeVries, Beverly Weston, Emily Kinney, Jean Fordham, Amy Warren, Karen Weston, Shannon Cochran, Barbara Fordham, Angelica Torn, Ivy Weston, Jeff Still, Bill Fordham, Levy George, Matty Fee Aiken, Marcus Nelson, Sheriff Dion Gilbert, Avy Bushhead U/S Hannah, Jean, Ivy, Karen Stephen Danvers U/S Beverly, Charlie Barbara Kingsley U/S Violet, Matty Febrin Magnus U/S Little Charles, Sheriff Martin Cotton U/S Barbara, Karen, Ivy Marcus Nelson U/S Bill, Steve Camber Overend U/S Jean. Original London cast: Ian Barfoot, Little, Charles Deanna Donegan, Violet Weston, Kimberly Guerrero, John Vota, Paul Vincent O'Connor, Charlie Aiken, Gary Cole Steve Heidebrett, Chelsea Ross, Beverly Weston, Molly Ranson, Jean Fordham, Mary Mayberry, Karen Weston, Amy Morton, Barbara Fordham, Sally Murphy, Skyview Weston, Jeff Perry, Bill Fordham, Rondy Reed, Matty Fee Aiken, Troy West, Sheriff Dion Gilbo, Morgan Day U/S Charlie, Beverly and Kavanagh U/S Violet, Matty Fee Mitchell Mullen U/S Steve, Bill Lizzie Roper U/S Karen, Ivy Sarah Vander Paul U/S Jean, Jonah Ian Porter U/S Little Charles, Sheriff Elizabeth Moynihan U/S Barbara. Steppenwolf Ensemble member. Original Broadway production. In 2009, Entertainment Weekly put it on its end of the decade best of list, saying, even with a runtime of 3.5 hours, Tracy Letts' 2007 drama of Southern fried familial dysfunction went by in one lightning-fast jolt of pure theatrical electricity. Origins of the play's name. The play is named after a poem written by Howard Starks. Of this, Tracy Letts has stated, "I could never come up with a title as brilliant as August, Osage County, Mr. Howard Starks, gentleman, teacher, poet, genius, mentor, friend, created the title for an extraordinary poem that is one of the inspirations for my play. I steal the title with deference, yet without apology. Howard, I'm sure, would have it no other way, and I dedicate this play to his memory."